All right, y'all, we are here at the Basilica of Our Lady of Lebanon. This place from the outside is beautiful, and I can't wait to show you the inside. And look how cool that statue is, the Blessed Mother above me. So stay tuned, I want to show you so much more. Hello, y'all. So I am here at the Basilica of Our Lady of Lebanon, and I am here with
Co-Bishop Anthony Spinoza.
This place is absolutely breathtaking. I cannot believe the beauty. And I really did not know much about the Maronite Church, so I'd love to hear more about it and the history.
Okay, well, sometimes people are not all that knowledgeable about the Eastern Rite churches. And sometimes when you say Eastern Rite, they automatically think of Eastern Orthodox. But there are many Eastern Rite Catholic churches, most of which had a little difficulty over the centuries and may have separated from Rome and then returned at a certain point. The exception to that is the Maronite Church, which is kind of an odd name because it's kind of named after Saint Maron, who is considered the founder of our church. But he didn't really establish a church. It was really known as the Syriac Maronite Church, and then even before that it was known as the Syro-Phoenician Church. And it was a Semitic ritual, a monastic ritual coming out of Antioch. And but after St. Maron established a monastery, he died in the year 410, people just began to call those people who were following that ritual Maronites. And you won't find another Eastern Rite church, or even the Latin church is not really nicknamed after any person, because you have the Byzantines and you have the Antiochians and the Romans, but somehow it just became known as the Maronite Church. But that's not kind of the official name. It's really more, the Syriac, Syro-Phoenician, they use all kinds of terms.
Yeah.
So, but the Maronites never separated from Rome. When the schism took place over a century ago, the Maronites really were not involved in that. That was more of a Byzantine difficulty. So the Maronites kind of pride themselves on always being in union with Rome. And there's a strong bond there. So we are different from the Byzantines. The Byzantine churches use the liturgy of St. John Chrysostom. We are known as the liturgy of St. James. It is a monastic liturgy. It is not terribly complicated. It's very easy to understand, but you can see some similarities to what the Byzantines practice, and you'll see a few similarities to what maybe the Latin Church practices. There are certain things in all the ritual churches that are pretty much the same, but prayers and structure tend to vary a little bit. The Maronites originally used Aramaic as their language. It was really the spoken language of the day, and it was also the liturgical language, whereas the Roman Church used Latin, which was the tongue of the day as well, then became the liturgical language. The Byzantine churches, especially those in Eastern Europe, would have used Slavonic, or even Greek. So, I mean, there's a great deal of variety within the Catholic Church. Language, practice, ritual, customs, traditions. And the Maronites are one of the many Eastern Rite churches.
Wow. So I was roaming around here, and it is absolutely beautiful, like I said. Can you give us like the history of this basilica?
Well, this was officially established on August 15th, 1965, the Feast of the Assumption. But it began a few years before that. There were many Lebanese Maronite people in the area of Youngstown, Ohio, Akron, Cleveland, Newcastle, Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, and many of them were immigrants. And they all remembered the original shrine of Our Lady of Lebanon in Harissa, in Lebanon, just outside of Beirut. And they felt that they would like to have something here in the United States, since this was their new home. Because the Maronites had been coming, the Lebanese had been coming to the United States since the late 19th century. And they had churches, not many, and in those days their churches were under the jurisdiction of the Roman Catholic bishops. We didn't have our own bishop at the time. So there were three relatives in the area, three priests. Two were brothers and one was a cousin. Father Peter Eade was the pastor of St. Maron's in Youngstown. His brother, Father Maroon Eade, was pastor, I believe, in Akron. And then there was a Father Abinader, who was pastor in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. So they were all from Lebanon. They knew each other. They had this idea that they would like to establish a shrine, a replica of the original, as I said, in Lebanon. So they talked about it. There really was no formal plan. And this was early 1960s. And one day, Father Peter Eade happened to be driving on this side of town, which was rather unusual because back then this was literally all farmland. There were almost no houses here except older farmhouses, and there were large parcels of land, which this was. And he happened to be coming down Lipke Road, and why he was on this side of town was unusual because St. Maron's Church at that time was all the way on the east side of Youngstown, so he didn't really have a reason to be here, I guess. And he came, and he happened to be coming down the road. He saw a sign that said land for sale, and he knocked on the door of the farmhouse. A lady came out, and he said, "I'm Father Peter Eade," told her who he was. He said, "We'd like to build a shrine to the Blessed Virgin, the Mother of God." The lady said no, and she slammed the door in his face. So Father Peter was a little surprised at that, so he left. And sometime later he came back, the sign was still there. Knocked on the door again. And same lady came out and she said to him, "Listen, I don't like Catholics, I don't like priests, I will never sell my land to a Catholic." Slammed the door.
Wow.
So Father Peter was a very gentle man, but he was not one you'd want to take advantage of.
Yeah.
So he banged on the door and he said to the lady, "Now listen," he said, "would you rather have a house of God on your property, or do you want them to turn this into a junkyard?"
Yeah.
That's how basic he was in some things. So he explained that, okay, this is your decision. He says, "We're going to make a novena to the Blessed Mother. And if God wants us to have the property, we will. If not, that's okay." Well, this woman who was not Catholic had no idea what a novena was.
Yeah.
So she just, ignored him. So he and his brother and his cousin, the three priests, started this novena. Before the novena was completed, before the 9 days had passed, the owner of the property called Father Peter and said literally to him, "Listen, priest, this lady that you talk about will not let me sleep at night. Come and get your land." And that sealed the deal. Wow. So they purchased the land, and they just started from there. So the three parishes It was basically Akron, Newcastle, Youngstown, with the help of Cleveland, Pittsburgh, other places as well, began to make plans. So on August 15th, 1964, they broke ground, and 1 year later, August 15th, 1965, they dedicated the tower. And all that was here at the time was the tower, which you see outside, and the small chapel at the base. And there really was nothing else here. There wasn't even running water. But it became a place where the Maronites would come pretty much on weekends for picnics, especially on Sunday. After they were finished with their liturgies, they would pack up their families and come down here and have picnics, and they would have music, and they would dance, and they would sing. Then at the end of the day, the priests who were usually here, they would sing their hymns, their prayers to the Blessed Mother, and have the blessing with the icon of Our Lady of Lebanon, and then would go home, and then come back the next week. Slowly but surely, it began to expand little by little, and we have this. The grounds were improved a little bit. There are stations of the cross out back where people go. The gift shop had been added, then the Cedars Hall, the social hall was added, and then pretty much the last thing that was added was the church, which was named after Christ the Prince of Peace. That time there was a lot of turmoil in the Middle East, and there still is. But it got that name, and it was, how long ago? I forgot how long ago it was. I lose track of dates. About 10, 12 years ago, Pope Francis declared this church a basilica. So the only other Maronite basilica in the world is the original shrine of Our Lady of Lebanon. In Lebanon. And so we were very happy, we were very proud that we were made a basilica. So I kind of get a little puffed up. And,
that is so cool.
You know, and it's a place where people come. We're not a parish church, so we don't have parishioners. And so it makes it a little bit difficult at times. We rely on visitors and benefactors, but we do have people who do come regularly. And they come, and everyone who comes, and even visitors who may come occasionally, always have the same thing to say. It's very peaceful. And maybe it's because we're still in the middle of, you know, a somewhat rural area, and but people come onto the property, and the shrine is usually not noisy, except on feast days and things like that. But when people come into the Basilica Church, or in the Tower Chapel, or they hide in St. Joseph's courtyard out there, or at the Stations of the Cross, they find it really very, very quiet. And it's amazing because the turnpike is only a mile down the road, but it is very quiet. So that's pretty much the history of the shrine. One interesting thing that happened was on the day it was dedicated, August 15th, 1965, as I said, we did not have a Maronite bishop at the time, so the Bishop of Youngstown, Ohio came. That was Bishop James Malone at the time. And he had just arrived here as well. And he went to the top of the tower to do the blessing of the statue. And the tower wasn't really even completed. There was no railing around it. So he went up without a railing, which I would never have done. And as he gave the blessing, a rainbow came out over the entire tower.
That is so cool.
And it was amazing because it was a very hot August day. So there was no storm, there was no reason to have a rainbow. But it happened. And of course, people were amazed, and they took that as a sign from God that he was pleased that we were doing this. So many times when you see an icon of Our Lady of Lebanon. You might see a rainbow over it.
Oh.
And it was at the 50th anniversary, 10 years ago, and it was on August 15th, and we have a big pilgrimage every year from the 13th to the 15th. And on the 15th, the Divine Liturgy is celebrated outside because of the number of people. So there's a big tent there, and the altar is under a tent, and we were in the middle of liturgy, which was about 7 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah.
And as we're celebrating the liturgy, I noticed a little commotion under the tent. And I'm thinking, why are people talking during Mass?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be doing that sort of thing. So I'm getting a little irritated and concerned. But I ignored it. And after the Mass, as we began our procession that goes out to the road and then comes back down, people came up to me and said, "Did you see what happened?" I says, "No." I says, "All I know is people were talking when they shouldn't have been talking." And they said, "The rainbow came out." I said, "What are you talking about?" "See, it's on my camera here. It's on my phone." And sure enough, 50 years later to the day, almost to the hour, we had another rainbow.
Wow.
Over the top. So of course now with social media and phone cameras and all of that, I mean, the word spread within minutes.
Yeah.
You know, 50 years ago, you couldn't really do that easily. So again, we were very pleased.
Yeah.
And we took that as a sign from God that he was happy about all this.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
that is a miracle.
the narthex, the entry into the church, the basilica, is a little larger than most churches, and it was designed that way because sometimes we need to accommodate an overflow in the church proper, so we can always set up seating here if we need to. But there's a small replica of the large statue that's on the top of the tower, and it was also carved in granite as the original was. And it was on a different altar here for quite some time, and then a number of years ago we were able to acquire this antique altar, which came from the Cleveland area. I believe it was at St. George Lithuanian Church, and they closed, and this altar was available, so we got that, and it really is a perfect backdrop for the statue of Our Lady. And people are here every day, absolutely every day, to light their candles, and the basket of petitions is always full. So it just, it's a quiet activity center. We also have a stained glass window of the coronation of the Blessed Virgin, which came from the same church, the same Lithuanian church. And since the Assumption is the biggest feast day that we have here at the shrine, I was really happy that we were able to acquire it and to do a little bit of repair work and have it installed here. And then around the arch, scenes of all different Marian apparitions throughout the world and over the centuries, and Lourdes and La Salette and Guadalupe and Fatima, and Knock as well. So it gives a nice little chronology of the apparitions of the Blessed Virgin. When the church was made a basilica, we had these doors specifically made, and we have the coat of arms of Pope Francis. It says Porta Sancta. You see it better from the outside a little bit, with rondels of the four evangelists. So since we're in the middle of the Jubilee year, this door is unlocked. So this is the main entrance and exit for the faithful who come here. And then on December 28th, we will lock it. Once again, we will seal it, and then they'll just use the regular entrance. Over here, we were able to acquire a brick from the holy door of the Patriarchal Basilica of St. Mary Major. And this was given to us by the Knights of Columbus. And so we had it framed and mounted here, right? We have our reliquaries here on both sides, and just recently we were given a relic of the true cross of Jesus, and the documentation is there as well, and we have a number of relics on both sides. We've tried to label all of them. I haven't completed it yet because people always ask, who's that? I can't read it. And neither can I because the print is so small. So we're hoping to get little placards made so that people will be able to identify the particular relics. Little speck that you see in the center of the white cross.
Wow.
That is a piece of the true cross of our Lord. And we have more relics on this side as well. Various relics. We have one of St. Maron, St. Charbel, St. Rufka, who are Maronite saints, and then various other saints.
And these are all relics, yeah?
Yes, wow. They're all first-class relics.
All first class, okay.
Yes.
So the difference between a first class and second class would be? Well,
first class is actual bone or a physical portion of the body of the saint. A second class relic would be, say, a piece of their clothing, and a third class would be a piece of cloth that would have been touched to a first class relic.
I see, okay.
Yeah, but these are all first class relics.
Wow. Cool. That's interesting.
The church itself was designed as a basic cruciform, and it has the two side transepts, and that was done specifically because not only do we have Maronite liturgies here, but we also have Roman Rite liturgies at certain times when priests and bishops of the Latin Rite come to visit, and we also have Byzantine liturgies, especially during the Feast of the Assumption. So the sanctuary is set up so that we can accommodate the different rituals of the Catholic Church. We have Christ sitting on the throne and holding the Eucharist, and the icon was given the name Christ, giver of the Eucharist. And in the Syriac art form, usually the figure of Christ or the Virgin or the saints usually has an arch over it, and you can see that arch there as well. And on the top are two peacocks, which is a very Eastern representation of the resurrection and new life. Sometimes you'll see it in Roman churches. I believe the Basilica of Saints Cosmas and Damian in Rome has a whole frieze of peacocks on it. I'm not quite sure, but one of them does. But you will see peacocks in Eastern churches. Sometimes in Byzantine churches, the peacocks will be on the royal doors as you enter the sanctuary. People always ask, why do you have birds on the top? But they're just one of those art forms that, for some unknown reason, became associated with the resurrection and new life. And we have the two angels with the censers flanking the icon of the Lord. And we also have 4 archangels around here. And it's Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel. And on those banners where you see the Syriac, that's the Trisagion. Holy are you, O God. Holy are you, O Strong One. Holy are you, O Immortal One. Have mercy on us. It is a prayer that you hear very often in the Eastern churches. The Roman Church, I don't know if they still have it. They used to do it on Good Friday. I'm not sure if that's still part of it. And of course, up on the top, we have the Holy Spirit. The sanctuary itself, because it is a basilica, we have the papal ombrellino, the canopy, which is always there, and it was unveiled on the day when the church was consecrated a basilica. It is partially open in anticipation that the Holy Father might visit, since only the Holy Father can declare a basilica, a minor basilica. When Pope Francis, who declared this a basilica, died, it was closed, and it remained closed until Pope Leo was elected, and then it was opened again, partially. Now, if Pope Leo were to visit here, which is rather unlikely, but if he were to do that, then it would be open completely. But it remains that way. There is a large candle. Some people think it's a Paschal candle, an Easter candle, but it's not. It has the basilica, the coat of arms of Pope Francis, who made this a basilica, and the coat of arms of the shrine basilica. In Rome, was an ancient custom that in basilicas, at the entrance to the sanctuary, there would be two very, very large candle stands. We only had one stand, so we don't have the two, but that's reflective of the basilica. Would be nice if we had two, but we're happy with the one. Yeah. And on the other side, you'll see that gold shield on a pole. The tintabulum has three little bells, and also the coat of arms of the Holy Father. If he were to visit, as he enters the basilica, the deacons would shake it and they would ring the bells. And so if you go into a church and you see the canopy and you see the bells, you'll know it's a basilica. And also there's always the coat of arms of the Pope who declared it a basilica. Normally it would be outside over the entrance. We have it inside here on the wall of the choir loft, so it's a little easier for people to notice. Here is that of St. Teresa, of the child Jesus. For many years, there's been a novena, an annual novena to St. Teresa. People are very devoted to her. And this statue is an old statue. It came from the original St. Marin's Church when it was on the east side of Youngstown. And when they moved to a new location, they had no place for it in the new church. So it was, I believe, in someone's home, probably the donor's home, and it remained there. And then once the shrine was built, even when we had the temporary chapel, the statue was brought here, and it's been here ever since. So it's the original from St. Marin's in Youngstown. It has never been refinished or painted or anything. That's how it was, and that's how it will remain as long as possible. Okay. This area is St. Joseph's Courtyard. It is very, very popular. People love to come out here during the summer and sit. Even if the shrine is noisy, it remains rather quiet here. And it's quite beautiful because when everything is in bloom, it's semi-tropical, and it really is quite nice. And the gates open out into the Stations of the Cross, but on the other side, there's a walkway that goes all the way around, so you don't have to walk through the snow. This area, which is now storage, was the original temporary chapel, and this used to be the door that it entered into. Now this is just a little hallway dedicated to deceased priests. And we have our former bishops, the three founding priests of the shrine, and we have plaques with the names of the Maronite priests who have served in the United States and who have passed away. And we also have an area of people who like to donate a plaque in memory of a priest that they knew. These are mostly Latin priests that they've known from the area. And yes, Our Lady of Fatima. That's been here quite a while. Yes, people leave rosaries all over the place. Welcome to the original chapel here at the shrine. Before the permanent chapel was built, this is where people would gather on weekend afternoons to say their prayers. And it is a replica of the original shrine in Lebanon. There is a chapel at the base of the tower also in Lebanon, but I don't know what the interior is like. I've never been in there. But this is a very, very favorite place. We have daily liturgy here because people like the closeness and the intimacy of it. And over the altar is a replica of an ancient fresco that's in Lebanon. It's called Our Lady of Canubin. Canubin is a monastery where the patriarchs, the Maronite patriarchs, took refuge during Muslim persecution. And it's down in what they call the Holy Valley, the Kadisha Valley. And to get to it is very difficult because you have to kind of climb down, and it's not accessible by vehicle. You have to literally walk. So for many hundreds of years, the Maronites took refuge in the mountains of Lebanon to escape persecution, and also in the Holy Valley. And this is where the patriarch lived for quite some time. And in the patriarchal chapel there, which is very, very small and very primitive, there's this fresco on the wall of the coronation of the Virgin. Very, very Syriac in style. Now, the original one in Lebanon is much larger. It has more figures, but we were limited with space here, so we just took the figures of the Holy Trinity crowning Our Blessed Lady. And the colors are important, especially in Eastern iconography, because sometimes people wonder, why does the Blessed Mother have a red cloak? Well, traditionally, you would always have Our Lady in a blue dress, a blue or a white dress, representing her humanity. And the red is that she was enveloped by divinity. By the coming of the Holy Spirit. So normally, if you strictly speaking with iconography, Mary's dress would be blue or white, and then would be covered with a red cloak, where the opposite is with Christ. His robe traditionally would be red because he's divine. So whatever's closest to the body indicates whether it's divinity or humanity. And then around here we have different icons of the life of the Blessed Virgin, the Annunciation to Mary, and here you see very clearly the blue dress with the red veil and cloak, given the announcement by the angel Gabriel that she would be the Mother of God. We have here the presentation of Mary in the temple by her parents Anna and Joachim. Here over the door we have the icon of Anna, Joachim, and the young Virgin Mary. Again, blue dress covered with the red cloak. And then here we have the betrothal, the marriage of Mary to Joseph, which comes to us also in the Gospel of St. Luke. And then finally, the Nativity of Jesus. And they're all done in that Syriac Eastern style. The tabernacle here is, as you can see, a small replica of the tower, very nicely done. Originally, the Blessed Sacrament was not kept here because it was only a weekend chapel. Then when the shrine became a daily occurrence, the confessional was removed, the tabernacle was put here, and we added a scene from the hills of Lebanon, the mountains of Lebanon, and the tower in front of it.
The Blessed Sacrament's in there right now?
Yes, we do keep the Blessed Sacrament here because we have daily liturgy.
So I see this a lot. What are the stars?
Mary is always represented by 12 stars.
Oh, okay.
the fulfillment in the New Testament of the 12 tribes of Israel. So whenever you see a crown on Mary, it would be unusual to see her with less than 12 stars.
I see.
It represents the apostles as well, because Mary was present at Pentecost with the apostles. So obviously 12 means a lot in our Catholic faith. Has different meanings and different representations.
All right, so we're gonna go to the top of the shrine and get a cool video of it. So we gotta be careful though. It's pretty icy. That is really cool. Our Lady of Lebanon. There's the view. All right, y'all, I'm leaving, but I had such a terrific time here. It was beautiful, the statues, the church, everything about it just brought an inner peace to me. And I want to visit your church next, so make sure to like and subscribe this video.